The forest was quiet that evening. The wind moved slowly between the tall black trees, and the air smelled of wet soil after rain. Daniel, a human traveler, walked carefully with his small backpack. He had been lost for 2 days already. His map did not show this place, and his compass spun uselessly like it was broken. Every sound made him alert, because he knew this world was not safe for humans. Still, the silence felt strange, too heavy, like the forest was holding its breath. Then, he heard it, a sound like heavy footsteps shaking the ground. At first he thought it was thunder, but the sky was clear. The ground trembled again. Boom, boom, boom. Daniel froze. His throat became dry. Something huge was walking nearby. He moved behind a thick tree and peeked out. His heart nearly stopped. Between the trees, a giant figure appeared, at least 4 times taller than him, her body strong like a moving mountain. She had silver hair that reached her waist, glowing slightly in the fading light. Her skin was pale with a faint blue shine, and her golden eyes looked sharp, like fire in the night. It was a giantess. Daniel had heard stories of them. Most humans avoided this side of the valley because of legends. Giant women who ruled the mountains, who could crush a human with one hand or carry him away like a toy. He never believed those stories until now. The giantess stopped. Her golden eyes swept the forest. Daniel knew if she turned his way, she would see him. He held his breath, trying to stay hidden, but a bird suddenly flew out of the branches above him, and the movement caught her attention. Slowly, her gaze fixed on his tree. Daniel felt his chest tighten. He knew it was useless to run. Her legs were long, each step covering more ground than he ever could. He stepped out from behind the tree, raising his hands. His voice shook. I mean no harm. The giantess tilted her head. Her eyes narrowed, scanning him. She bent down, her shadow covering him completely. Daniel saw the size of her hands, each one larger than his chest. She could crush him in a moment. His knees felt weak, but somehow, he found the courage to speak again. "You are very strong," he said quietly. Then, before he could stop himself, he added, "and beautiful." The words slipped out. A simple, polite compliment. He only meant to calm her, to show respect. Humans often used kind words to survive dangerous meetings. He thought it might make her less hostile. But the giantess did not react as he expected. Her golden eyes widened, and for a moment she froze. Then a strange expression crossed her face, half surprise, half something else, something powerful. "You call me beautiful," her voice boomed. It was deep, like thunder rolling through stone, but also soft in a strange way. Daniel nodded carefully. "Yes, I only meant respect." The giantess leaned closer, her breath warm like wind. "In my people's law, a compliment from a human is no small thing. It is a vow, a binding promise." Daniel blinked, confused. "A promise?" "Yes." Her lips curved into something between a smile and a command. When a human speaks such words, it means he has chosen. He offers himself, his life, his strength, his future. Daniel's heart pounded. He had no idea his words could mean that. "No, wait, I didn't. I only meant it as politeness." But she shook her head slowly, her long hair shining like silver fire in the dark. "There is no turning back. You gave the words. Now you must do your duty." She reached out her massive hand and closed it gently, but firmly, around him. Daniel struggled, but her grip was careful, like she was holding something precious. He was lifted into the air, higher and higher, until he could see the tops of the black trees. His stomach twisted in fear. "Duty? What duty?" he asked, his voice shaking. The giantess looked at him with eyes that burned like suns. "You will see. My people have waited for one like you. You will not leave this place." The forest grew silent again, except for the sound of her heavy steps as she carried him deeper into the valley. The night closed in around them, and Daniel realized one thing with cold terror. His life had just changed forever, all because of a single compliment. Daniel's body swayed with every step as the giantess carried him deeper into the forest. Her long strides shook the ground, and her grip was unbreakable. She held him close to her chest as if protecting something valuable. Yet he felt more like a prisoner than a guest. The air grew colder, and the trees grew taller and thicker. Strange glowing plants lit the path, shining blue and green, guiding his steps like torches of the earth. Daniel's mind raced. He had only spoken one polite compliment, and now his life was no longer his own. Finally, the forest opened into a hidden valley. Daniel gasped. Huge stone towers rose from the ground, carved into shapes of giant women holding spears and shields. Fires burned in wide bowls, lighting the area with red and gold flames. And in the middle, there were others, more giantesses. They turned when they saw her arrive. Their eyes, golden like hers, locked on the human in her hand. A heavy silence spread across the valley. Then whispers broke out. A human. After all these years. He spoke the words. Daniel's chest tightened. They looked at him not with fear, but with hunger, as if he was something rare and powerful. He wanted to scream, but his voice failed. The giantess placed him on a large stone table, but she stood close beside him, her towering figure blocking any path of escape. Her voice boomed across the valley. He gave me the words. He called me beautiful. By the law of our ancestors, he is bound. The others murmured louder now, some clapping their hands together, others frowning. One older giantess, her hair braided with bones, stepped forward. Her face was hard as stone. You claim him, Althea? She asked. Daniel learned her name then, Althea, the one who had taken him. Yes, Althea said proudly, her hand hovering near him protectively. He is mine now, by vow and by law. The older giantess narrowed her eyes. But does he know what the vow means? Do humans understand our law? Althea's golden eyes glowed. It does not matter. He spoke it. He chose. Daniel finally found his voice. Wait, I didn't choose anything. I only said it because it was polite. Laughter rolled across the valley, deep voices echoing like drums. But some did not laugh. A few giantesses looked at him with sharp interest, as if measuring him for something important. The older one raised her staff. Human, your words carry power here. Do you know why? Daniel shook his head. No, I don't understand any of this. Our people are fading, she said. Our strength weakens with every generation. But humans carry fireblood. It burns bright, stronger than any other. When a human offers words of beauty to one of us, he offers his fireblood as well. It is the way of balance. Daniel felt cold. Fireblood, life force, was that what they wanted from him? Althea bent down, her face close to his. Do not be afraid. I will keep you safe. No harm will come to you. But you belong to me now. You will give your strength, and in return, I will protect you from all others. Her words felt more like a chain than a comfort. He looked around at the giantesses watching him, some with envy in their eyes, others with cruel smiles. He realized she was not lying. If she let go of him, someone else would take him. You can't just decide my life, Daniel whispered, his fists clenched. Althea's expression softened slightly. Your life was decided the moment you spoke. That is our way. Before Daniel could reply, a sudden roar echoed across the valley. Drums began to beat, and torches flared brighter. The crowd of giantesses stepped back, forming a wide circle. The older one lifted her staff high. Let the claim be shown. Let the law be remembered. The human is bound to Althea by vow. From this night forward, he is hers to guard, hers to guide, hers to take. The giantesses pounded the ground with their feet, the sound like rolling thunder. Daniel's chest tightened as he stood on the stone table, surrounded by towering figures chanting words he couldn't understand. Althea lifted him gently but firmly into her arms once more. She whispered so only he could hear. Do not fight this, little one. If you resist, they will tear you apart. Stay with me, and you will live. Daniel's heart raced. He wanted to run, to scream, to fight, but every direction was blocked by mountains of flesh and stone. He had no weapon, no plan, and no chance of escape. As the chanting grew louder, Althea turned and carried him toward a great cave at the far end of the valley. The shadows swallowed them both, and Daniel realized with dread that his nightmare had only just begun. The cave was larger than any hall Daniel had ever seen. Its walls glittered faintly, covered in crystals that shone with a soft blue glow. Strange fires burned in stone bowls, filling the air with warmth and shadows. The sound of dripping water echoed like a slow drum. Althea set Daniel down carefully on a raised stone platform. Around him, giant woven walls made of thick branches and silver rope formed a kind of enclosure. It was not just a bed. It was a cage. Daniel pressed his hands against the wall. The branches were thicker than his arms, smooth but strong. The silver rope hummed faintly with energy. It wasn't only a prison of wood. It carried power. He could not break it, not even with all his strength. Althea stood outside the cage, her golden eyes calm. "This is your place," she said. "Here you will be safe. None can harm you. None can take you." Daniel's heart pounded. "Safe," she said. But safe was only another word for trapped. "I don't want this," he said firmly. "I want to leave. Let me go back to the forest." Althea tilted her head, her long silver hair falling across her shoulder. "No, you cannot go. If you step outside this valley, others will claim you. You belong to me now." Her words were sharp, but there was no cruelty in her face. She looked at him almost with pride, as if he was a treasure she had finally found. "I'm not your treasure," Daniel whispered. "You are more than treasure," Althea replied. "You are vow. You are fireblood. You are duty." Daniel turned away, gripping the ropes, his chest heavy with anger and fear. He was not used to being powerless. On Earth, he had always survived by quick thinking and courage. But here, surrounded by giantesses and strange laws, he felt like a small insect caught in glass. Later, when the fire in the bowls grew dim, Althea brought him food. Fruits the size of his head, bread baked from golden grains, and clear water in a carved cup. She slid the plate through a gap in the cage. Daniel hesitated. "You want me strong, don't you? That's why you feed me." "Yes," Althea said simply. "You must live. Your strength must grow. You will need it." "For what?" Daniel asked, his voice sharp. Althea only smiled faintly. "You will learn when the time comes." Her answer gave him no comfort. For hours, Daniel walked the small space of his cage, testing every wall, every rope, searching for weakness. None existed. The rope glowed faintly whenever he touched it, sending a tingling shock into his fingers. It was alive somehow, bound with strange energy. Finally, exhausted, he sat against the wall. His eyes grew heavy, but just as he began to fall asleep, he felt something strange. Warmth spread across his arm. He looked down, and his skin glowed faintly where Althea had touched him earlier. The mark of her hand was shining in pale gold, like fire trapped under his skin. Daniel's breath caught. "What is this?" He rubbed at it, but the glow did not fade. Instead, it pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. From outside the cage, Althea spoke in a low voice. "Do not fear it. The bond has begun. You are mine, and I am yours. Our lives are tied." Daniel jumped to his feet. "No, I didn't agree to this." Her golden eyes locked on him, steady and unshaken. "You spoke the words. That is enough." Daniel's anger burned hot, but fear burned hotter. He did not know what this bond meant, but he could feel it crawling under his skin, alive inside his blood. That night, sleep did not come easily. When it finally did, it came with dreams. He saw fire, mountains cracking open, and a circle of giantesses chanting around him. He saw himself standing in the middle, glowing brighter than the sun, while Althea's voice whispered in his ear, "Do your duty." He woke with a gasp, his heart racing, sweat dripping from his forehead. The mark on his arm still glowed faintly. Daniel realized something chilling. He was not only a prisoner, he was changing, and whatever this duty was, it was already reaching for him, even in his dreams. The hidden valley never truly slept. Even at night, fires burned in stone bowls, and the giantess's heavy steps echoed across the caves. Daniel sat in his cage, staring at the faint glow still pulsing in his arm. No matter how he rubbed it, the mark remained, warm like living fire under his skin. Althea was gone for the evening, summoned to the council of her people. Before leaving, she had looked at him with firm eyes and said, "Do not fear. I will return before dawn." Daniel did not fear the night. He feared the silence that came with it. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the dream again, the circle of chanting giantesses, the fire that burned through his veins. He shivered and forced himself to stay awake. Hours passed. The cave grew quiet. Then, a sound broke the silence. "Human." Daniel froze. The voice was soft, almost a whisper, and it came from the shadows beyond his cage. He sat up quickly, scanning the dim light. "Who's there?" he asked in a low voice. From the darkness, a figure stepped forward. It was another giantess, but she was different. Her frame was slimmer, her hair dark and braided, and her golden eyes shone with a sharper light. Unlike Althea, her clothes were simple, and her hands carried no jewelry of rank. "Do not speak loud," she warned, glancing toward the cave entrance. "If they hear me, it will mean death for both of us." Daniel's chest tightened. "Why are you here? What do you want?" The young giantess leaned closer to the cage, her voice urgent. "I came to warn you. You think Althea protects you, but you are not safe. She bound you with her vow. The mark on your arm, it is a chain. Once the ritual is complete, you will not be human anymore. You will be fuel." Daniel's stomach turned cold. "Fuel? What do you mean?" The giantess's eyes flickered with anger. "Our people are fading. Their strength is dying. They want your fire blood to restore it. The ritual will take your life force and give it to her. You will not survive." Daniel gripped the ropes of his cage. "And you're telling me this because you want to help me?" Her lips curved into a bitter smile. "Not help. Use. But for now, our goals are the same. You want freedom. I want Althea's power broken. Together, maybe we can both win." Daniel studied her face. She was younger than Althea, maybe reckless, but her eyes carried a spark of rebellion. He felt a flicker of hope, but also doubt. "How can I trust you? For all I know, you're lying. Maybe you want me for yourself." Her expression hardened. "Yes, if you survive, you will always be wanted. But at least I'm honest. I do not call it protection. I call it what it is, ownership." The words cut deep. Daniel sat back, his hands shaking. Every choice felt like a trap. Stay with Althea, and risk being consumed in this ritual. Trust this stranger, and risk falling into another kind of prison. The giantess leaned closer, her whisper sharp as steel. "Think, human. Do you feel safe in this cage? Do you believe her words of kindness? When your blood glows with her mark, you already know the truth." Daniel looked at the glowing lines on his arm. His chest tightened. She was right. Something was happening inside him, and it wasn't natural. "What do you want me to do?" he asked finally. Her lips curved into a cold smile. "Wait. When the time is right, I will return. The council plans the rituals soon. Too soon. When they come for you, I will be there. If you choose me, I will cut your bond to Althea. But if you stay with her, you will not live long enough to regret it." She stepped back into the shadows, her form fading from sight. "Remember, human. Whispers travel fast, hey. Choose carefully whom you trust." And then she was gone. Daniel sat in the silence, his heart racing. His cage felt smaller now, the walls pressing in. He wanted to believe Althea's words, that she would protect him, that she cared for him. But the rebel's voice lingered in his mind like poison. He touched the mark glowing on his arm. It pulsed once, warm and strong. He thought of Althea's steady eyes, then of the rebel's sharp warning. Both sides wanted him. Both sides called it fate. But only one choice would keep him alive, and he had no idea which it was. The next day, the valley was louder than before. Drums pounded in the distance, echoing across the stone walls. Fires burned brighter, and the giantesses gathered in groups, their voices carrying through the air. Something was being prepared, something big. Daniel sat inside his cage, restless. The rebel's warnings still haunted his mind. "The ritual will take your life force. You will not survive." He had barely slept, and the mark on his arm now glowed stronger, spreading faint golden veins across his skin. When Althea returned, she carried herself differently. Her steps were slow but proud, her eyes bright with strange fire. She stopped before the cage and studied him in silence. "You are ready," she said softly. Daniel stepped back. "Ready for what?" "For the duty," Althea replied. "The bond must be sealed. The council has decided. Tonight is the ritual." Daniel's chest tightened. "No, I never agreed to this." Althea's gaze softened, but her voice was firm. "It is not about agreement. It is about truth. You spoke the words. The bond has started. If it is not finished, it will consume us both. You will burn away, and I will fade. The only way forward is together." Her words chilled him. "What do you mean, together?" She knelt down, her golden eyes level with him. "Your fireblood will join with mine. It will flow into me, and I will share my strength with you. Two lives tied as one. This is duty. This is survival." Daniel's heart hammered. He didn't know if she was lying or telling the truth. All he knew was that every word felt like a trap. That evening, the giantesses led him out of the cage. Althea carried him in both hands, and he saw the whole valley gathered. A massive circle of stone marked the center, glowing with symbols carved deep into the ground. Torches blazed around it, their flames green and gold. The older giantess with the bone braids raised her staff. "Tonight, the vow will be sealed." The human gave his words. Now the bond must be complete. Fireblood shall meet flesh of the mountain. The crowd stomped their feet, the sound like thunder. Daniel's chest tightened as they placed him on the glowing stone in the center of the circle. The markings under him pulsed with light, warm against his skin. Althea stepped into the circle, her tall figure towering above him. She held her hand out, and the mark on his arm began to glow brighter in answer. Daniel felt it pulse inside his chest, pulling at his heart, his breath, his very life. "Do not fear," Althea whispered. "It will hurt, but it will not destroy you. You will live, through me." Daniel shook his head, panic rising. No, I can feel it. It's taking me." His body trembled as golden fire spread from the mark, crawling across his veins. His heart pounded wildly, then slowed, then pounded again. His vision blurred, and he dropped to his knees. The giantesses around the circle began to chant. Their deep voices rose in rhythm with the drums, filling the valley with an ancient, terrifying song. Daniel gasped for air. His skin burned, his bones ached. He felt as if something was being pulled out of him, something invisible but vital, something he could not live without. Althea knelt, placing her giant hand on his chest. Her eyes glowed fiercely, almost desperate. "Hold on, Daniel. Do not fight it. If you resist, the bond will shatter. We will both die." Her words struck him like lightning. Both die. She wasn't just trying to use him. She was tied to this as well. But even with that thought, fear consumed him. He felt himself slipping, his body weak, his soul trembling at the edge of darkness. And then, "Stop!" A sharp voice cut through the chants. The rebel giantess burst into the circle, her dark braids flying, her eyes blazing with fury. She pointed at Althea. "This is not survival. This is theft. He does not belong to her. He does not belong to anyone." The crowd gasped. Some giantesses shouted in anger, others in confusion. The chanting faltered. Daniel collapsed on the glowing stone, his vision swimming. He saw two figures above him, Althea, with fire in her golden eyes, and the rebel, with defiance burning in hers. Both wanted him. Both claimed to know his fate. And as the ritual fire roared around him, Daniel realized he was no longer just a prisoner. He was the center of a battle that could tear their whole tribe apart. The valley was chaos. The drums stopped, the chants fell apart, and the crowd of giantesses roared with anger and confusion. Some shouted for the ritual to continue, others demanded the rebel be silenced. Daniel lay on the glowing stone, weak and shaking. The golden fire still burned inside him, but it slowed as the ritual was broken. His breath came in ragged gasps. He felt alive, Barely. The rebel giantess stood tall in the circle, her dark braids whipping around her face. She raised her hand and pointed straight at Althea. "You call this duty?" she shouted. "It is slavery. He did not choose you. You trapped him with words he did not understand." The crowd murmured. Some nodded, some hissed. Althea's golden eyes blazed. She stepped forward, towering over the rebel. "He is mine by vow. You know the law. The bond is older than our tribe, older than these mountains. You would break it for your pride." The rebel's lips curled into a sharp smile. "Yes, because the law is broken. The fire blood should be free, not chained to a single hand." Before anyone could stop them, Althea and the rebel clashed. Their voices rose like thunder, and their power shook the ground. Sparks of golden fire clashed with streams of dark energy. The other giantesses scattered back, giving them space. Daniel's vision cleared just enough for him to see. He pushed himself up on trembling arms. The battle was fierce, but it gave him one chance: distraction. With what little strength he had, Daniel crawled off the glowing stone. His hands shook, his legs weak, but desperation drove him. He stumbled toward the edge of the circle, searching for a path out. The crowd was too busy watching the fight. None of them noticed him at first. He slipped between towering legs, moving toward the shadow of the trees. His heart raced. Freedom. Just a little further. Just keep moving. Then a sharp voice cut the air. "The human!" Dozens of golden eyes turned toward him. Shouts erupted. Giantesses moved, their steps like crashing boulders. Daniel ran, his body screaming in pain, but his will stronger than ever. A massive hand slammed down in front of him, blocking his path. He skidded to a stop, nearly falling. His chest heaved as he looked up. Althea stood there, her eyes wide with both anger and fear. "Daniel," she cried, her voice shaking. "Don't run. If you leave the bond unfinished, you will die, and I will die with you." Her words struck him like a blade. He froze, torn between instinct and truth. He could see her chest rising fast, her face pale with desperation. Behind her, the rebel shouted, "Run, human. Run and be free. Do not listen to her lies." Daniel's heart pounded. His head spun. Both voices pulled at him. Althea with fear and protection, the rebel with defiance and freedom. The ground shook as the two giantesses clashed again, Althea trying to reach him, the rebel trying to block her. Daniel stumbled backward, caught in the storm of their fight. Suddenly, lightning split the sky. The glowing mark on his arm flared painfully, brighter than ever. Daniel screamed as the fire burned through his veins. His knees buckled, and he fell to the ground. The fighting stopped for a moment. Both giantesses looked at him in shock. The golden fire spread out from his body, forming a blazing circle on the earth. The symbols carved in the stone lit up again, stronger than before. Daniel lay in the center, trembling, his voice breaking. I can't take this." Althea stepped forward, her eyes full of panic. "Daniel, listen to me. If the bond breaks now, the fire will consume you. You must finish it, or you will burn alive." The rebel snarled. "Don't believe her. The fire is power. It is yours, not hers. Fight it, human. Take it for yourself." Daniel clutched his glowing arm, his mind spinning. His choice was clear but impossible. Trust Althea and complete the ritual that might bind him forever, or trust the rebel and risk being consumed by fire that could kill him, or free him. The crowd of giantesses leaned closer, silent now, watching. His decision would not only decide his fate but theirs as well. Daniel raised his head, sweat dripping from his face, his voice hoarse but steady. "I will not." The fire roared louder, drowning his words. The ground cracked beneath him, flames shooting upward. Both Althea and the rebel screamed his name as the valley itself seemed to break apart. The moment of choice had come. The ground shook like a living beast. Flames burst from the glowing circle, and Daniel's body burned with golden fire. His scream echoed through the valley, mixing with the thunder of the giantesses' voices. Althea reached out, desperate. "Daniel, complete the bond with me. I can hold the fire. I can save you. The rebel shouted from the other side. No, fight it. Break free. The fire is yours. Take it for yourself. The crowd of giantesses stood frozen, their golden eyes wide. For centuries, they had waited for a human with fire blood. Now the fate of their tribe rested in the trembling hands of one man. Daniel's chest heaved. The fire in his veins tore him apart, pulling at his soul. He fell to his knees, clutching his arm where the mark blazed like a sun. His vision blurred, and in that haze, he saw both women, Althea's steady, pleading gaze and the rebel's fierce, burning eyes. He remembered Althea's kindness, the food, the careful way she carried him, the way she tried to shield him from the others. She had trapped him, yes, but she had never wanted him broken. She had wanted him alive. He also remembered the rebel's words, freedom, truth, no chains. Her voice had been sharp, but it carried fire. She wanted him to be more than a prisoner. She wanted him to rise, even if it meant burning everything. Daniel's heart pounded. His body was weak, but his spirit was not. He lifted his head and shouted through the fire. I'm not your treasure. I'm not your tool. I am human. The flames roared louder, as if answering him. Golden fire exploded outward, knocking both Althea and the rebel back. The stone cracked beneath his feet, and the carvings shattered. The giantesses cried out, shielding their eyes from the blinding light. Daniel stood in the center, his body glowing like molten metal, his eyes shining with the fire blood they all craved. For the first time, he felt it fully, not weakness, not chains, but strength. The fire was his, and it obeyed him. Althea pushed herself up, her voice trembling. Daniel, please. If you don't finish the bond, you will burn away. The rebel staggered to her feet, defiant. No, he doesn't need you. He doesn't need any of us. Show them, human. Show them what freedom means. Daniel looked at them both, the fire flickering around him like wings of light. His heart was heavy, but his voice was calm. You want my life. You want my fire. But neither of you understands. Humanity is not chains, and it is not fire to be stolen. Humanity is choice. The flames surged higher, wrapping him in a storm of light. The mark on his arm burned one last time, and then, with a cry that shook the valley, Daniel raised his hand and unleashed the fire skyward. The blast lit the night like a second sun. The mountains trembled, the air cracked, and the giantesses fell to their knees in awe and fear. When the light faded, Daniel collapsed to the ground. The fire was gone, burned out of him. The mark on his arm was only a faint scar now. His body was weak, but he was alive. Althea crawled to him, her golden eyes wet. You gave it up. Daniel managed a tired smile. I gave it to no one. Not to you. Not to her. I gave it back to myself. The rebel stared at him, silent for the first time, her sharp eyes full of shock. The crowd of giantesses whispered among themselves. Never before had a human refused the bond. Never before had a human controlled the fireblood. Their laws had shattered, their traditions broken by one man's choice. Daniel pushed himself up slowly, his body trembling. I will not be a prisoner. I will not be a weapon. If I live as myself. The valley fell silent. Even the fires seemed to bow to his words. Finally, Althea lowered her head, her voice quiet but full of respect. Then, go, human. You have shown us something greater than law, greater than duty. Daniel looked at her, then at the rebel, then at the crowd. He knew his path would never be safe, but it would be his own. And as he walked out of the broken circle, the night air cool against his skin, one truth burned brighter than fire in his heart. Humanity was not weakness. Humanity was freedom.